Let's get into the topic. We're picking up on point number 4. This is part 2 of our series. We did points 1 through 3 yesterday, so we're picking up on point number 4 here today. The topic, once again, college is a scam. Point number 4, people's bad ideas about what a college degree actually means and what it actually does. Now, of course, this is subjective because a degree can mean a whole lot of things for certain people in certain industries, and a degree can mean, and it could do a lot of things for you too. It could also mean very little and do nothing for you as well. Now, I've talked about this subject on live streams where I see live commentary and can engage people based on the subjects that I'm talking about. So when I've done live streams talking about this, and I'm talking live streams with thousands of people on them, I ask, is there anyone in here who has a degree and you are working at a job that has nothing to do with your degree? In other words, you got a degree, but you're not even using your degree in your professional career right now. And there were a lot of responses. Now, that does not mean that everybody who has a degree is not using it in some way, shape, or form. Some of you have a degree and you actually are using it in the work that you're doing. And the whole point here, the fact that there are people on both sides, is exactly what I'm trying to prove, is that people have these false ideas that getting a college degree means that you'll be able to get a job in a specific industry or a better job or make more money just because of the degree. So not all degrees are created equally. I think we all understand that, especially those of you who have already graduated. You know that all degrees are not created equal. There are certain industries for which having a degree is a great thing. An engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, a pilot, astronauts. Usually you need certain basic training. And when I say a degree, I am talking about colleges, but this could be any type of specialized training that you need this in order to get into those professions. You can't get into certain professions without certain paperwork, certain credentials. You can't become a doctor without going to some form of medical school training. Now, for many other professions and associated college degrees, the degree can be completely worthless when it comes to your professional pursuits, like the job you get, how much money you make, how you perform, etc. The degree really doesn't do anything. They can be very useless, and it often will cost you more to have gotten the degree than you will make on the back end from the degree. Now, you may make money on the back end of your career more than you paid for school, but what did the degree do to help you make that money? The answer is nothing. How many of you listen to this are working in a job that your college degree does not help you make more money at the job that you have right now or the career that you're working in right now? I know it's a lot of people. It's probably about 70% of the people in my audience. This is in addition to the fact that people change their careers multiple times these days. Whereas, back in the days, let's say my parents' generation, they're in their 60s, people of that age and up, they would get one career and they would stay in it for their entire lives. Some people work at one job their entire working lives. These days, in the generation that's around now, those of you who are actively working, people change not only jobs multiple times over the course of a work life, but they also change careers. You can go from being in one industry to a completely different industry between the ages of 25 and 35. So if you got the degree for what you were doing when you were age 25, you didn't get a new degree for what you're doing at age 35. You just dumped into a new industry. So these changes, these societal changes, have rendered the value of a degree to be lower, although the cost of a degree has gone up. So you see this trap here? And the reason why I'm calling it a scam is because colleges keep selling you on the idea that you need to go to college in order to be credentialed enough, quote unquote, educated enough, or qualified enough, all very subjective terms, in order to get a better job, have a better life, make more money, etc. This is all a scam. All of it is a scam. So people change careers, as I said, a lot more than they used to. Some of you have parents who got one job when they were in their 20s and they worked at that same job till they retired, right? How many of us are doing that these days? It doesn't happen as often. And this also means you can get a degree for one thing and end up working in a completely different industry. I already said that 10 years or 20 years later. So what was the degree for? What's the degree doing for you now? And I speak as a person who has a 4-year degree in business from Penn State University, and my focus is in management and marketing. When I tell people that, those who are in the matrix of the educational system, they'll say, oh, well, you have a business and you do marketing and you have people who work for you, so you do management, so I guess your degree was perfect for what you do now, right, Dre? Ha. No, it was not. It was not, because nothing that I learned in college, those business classes that I was forced to take in order to get my business degree, nothing that was taught in those classes has any bearing on what I do today in my work. None, zero. And by the way, I graduated from college in 2004. So I give a little bit of leeway to colleges because they had no idea that this that we're doing now, social media, the internet, being an online entrepreneur, content creating, being an influencer, making money from your phone, these weren't things in 2004. Nobody knew that this was coming. So they couldn't have taught this because they didn't know it was coming. But that's also another point that I'm making. College prepares you for what is already known. It can't prepare you for what's coming because it doesn't know what's coming. And things are changing in our world faster now than they did 30, 40, or 50 years ago. In our parents' time, change happened relatively slowly. In our time that we're living in now, as of when you're listening to this, change is happening very rapidly, which means by the time you get a quote unquote education, by the time you get the education, much of what you learned in order to be quote unquote educated is outdated because things have changed over the course of that 4 years or 3 years, 2 years, or 1 year. Things change very quickly nowadays. So you're getting information based on a textbook. Do you know how long it takes to write and get a textbook printed and shipped to colleges to where you can learn from it in class? I've written books. I'm a published author. I know how long it takes to get a 100-page book written, let alone a 300-page textbook. You know how long those things take to get written? I'm saying that to say this. By the time the textbook gets to the shelf of your college bookstore, a third of the information in that book is outdated and no longer relevant. But you have to learn from it, and you got to buy it for $70, and they only will give you back $15 at the end of the semester when you sell it back to the bookstore. Let's not forget about that part of the scam. You telling me college ain't a scam? It's a big scam. You don't even realize all the ways you're getting scammed. And I won't even get to mention all of them in this little mini series that I'm doing here, but there are a whole bunch of them if you think about it. So even with all this logical and rational truth that I'm giving you, you still see people to this day touting that they have a degree, the fact that they have a degree, as if, and not even only as if, people truly believe this, that having a degree makes you more quote unquote educated or more intelligent or somehow, some way better than people who don't have degrees. I would beg to differ on this. I would challenge you on this point. And again, I say this as a person who has a degree. Having a degree does not make you educated. Now, you need to understand the etymology of the word education. Word education comes from the Latin word, which is educate comes from the word that's about to bring out from within. That's what it means. The Latin root of the word education meant to bring out from within. In other words, you help enlighten people by providing them insights, not providing them information. Insight is about helping people ask the right question, not about giving them the right answer or giving them information. The way the education system is set up in the United States of America is you read books, go to lectures, take notes, absorb all the material given to you. Then you're given a test to prove that you absorbed it and that you retained it. And then you regurgitate the information back out on the test. And the better you do that, the higher your grades. That's the gist of how the educational system works. That is not education. That's not what education even means. That's indoctrination and proven retention. That's what it is. The way to succeed in school in America is you get indoctrinated and then you prove that you retained enough of the information to give it back to me on the test. That's all it is. And again, why would you do this? Why would school do this? They give you a textbook with all this information in it. Then you're supposed to study it. Then they give you a test where you can't look at the textbook. You just got to prove that you remembered all the information in the textbook. Why does that even matter? In the real world, do you have to do that? In the real world, do you get tested at work and the boss says, well, you can't look at any of the reference material. You just got to answer the questions by knowing it in your head. Does that ever happen in the real world? No. I told you this already. College is a closed book test. Real life is an open book test. So why is school designed in a way that is completely antithetical to the way the real world works? If you're an auto mechanic and you go to school to learn how to be an auto mechanic, and again, this only had to be college. Let's say you go to a trade school to be an auto mechanic. Maybe you had to pass some tests along the way, but the biggest test you had to pass is actually getting under the car and fixing some shit, right? And then when you go open up your own auto body shop and something's wrong with somebody brings in a Volkswagen and needs to be fixed, does the customer say, hey, you got to prove that you know it without looking at the manual? No, of course, that's the first thing you do is go look at the manual. Let me make sure that I'm fixing the right thing. But in school, if you go open a book and look at the manual on the test, that's cheating and you fail. Explain to me how what you do in school prepares you for real life. Answer is it doesn't, folks. All it prepares you to do is to be an obedient rule follower. Again, this is why it was the first thing I said in the first episode of this series. All school teaches you to do is be an obedient rule follower and just do what you're told, sit down, shut up, and don't think. But if you actually think, you realize how much of a scam this is, because even everything that you do to prove that you're good and to get your degree holders, none of it applies in your real life. In your real life, you can look at any book you want anytime you're tested. Anytime you have a challenge, you go anywhere on the internet, you can look up ChatGPT, you can call any friend you want, you can look up any book you want to get help with the challenge in front of you. In school, if you ask somebody else for help on a test, you're cheating and you fail. You might get kicked out of college for doing it. But this is the system, and people who have degrees call themselves quote unquote educated. What educated in what? What are you educated in? And again, I have a college degree. Having a degree does not make me educated. What makes you educated is that you know how to bring out from within. That's education. So let's continue. Having a degree, many people believe it makes them educated, intelligent, or again, above people who do not have degrees. And I understand this. The confirmation bias of having invested $50,000, $200,000, $300,000 in going to school to get that degree, you need to make it mean something societally when you're talking to other people. So I get it. I get why people have this mindset. And I completely reject the concept, however. The fact that I have a degree has no bearing on whether or not I am smarter than you, better than you, or can perform better than you on a professional level. What I'm able to do on a professional level, what you listen to when I'm here on the show or any of my other material you've experienced or any of my services you've experienced, has nothing to do with the fact that I went to college. Are you joking? Nothing that happened in college has prepared me to do this. When a person puts all of their personal worth, however, into getting a degree, having the degree, and then using it, and what the degree could possibly do for them or what they hope it will do for them, whether it's true or not, this person has no choice but to have this mentality. All right, again, this is the confirmation bias. The difference with me is that I'm not emotionally engaged with the fact that I have a college degree. I have one, but I only mention it when it's necessary. I never mention to someone I have a college degree as if that's a bullet point on my resume. Right? It doesn't matter. I'd rather tell you about the things that I've done, the people who I've helped. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. I'll tell you about you can go look up my TED Talks. You can go read any one of my books. You can see me on the stage giving a speech. Those are the things that matter. That's actual resume, things I've actually done. Getting a degree is not an accomplishment. I knew a whole bunch of people who got degrees who are fucking idiots. All right, are we equals? No. Because you got to look at my resume, you got to look at theirs after college. Not their school resume, their real life resume. School is not real life. So the difference with me, again, as I said, I'm not emotionally engaged in the fact that I have a degree. And as I said in part 1 of this series, I consider myself to be successful despite my college experience, not because of it. But look at somebody who gets a degree and then they go use their degree to get their next job. For example, the best students in colleges, the A students, like the valedictorians or whatever they call those people who are near the top of the class when they graduate, what are those people going to become? Again, those are the people who go on and get jobs that are based on having a degree. These are your engineers. These are your doctors. These are your lawyers. These are your college professors. Now they go get a job doing the very thing that they got the degree for, right? Now, here they are. I graduated from college exactly 20 years ago, 2004. I'm recording this in 2024. So 20 years after graduating from college, I have not used my degree to do anything professionally for the last 20 years, nothing. However, actually, I can say one thing. I got a job at a couple of the jobs that I got working in retail. I was able to get the job at a manager level instead of an employee level because I had a college degree. What sense that makes, you can explain it to me. I got my first job out of college was at Foot Locker. I got hired. I didn't know anything about the Foot Locker business, but I got hired at the manager level, and I got trained to be an assistant manager from day one because I had a college degree, not for any other reason. Now, if I didn't have the college degree, like one of my coworkers is a guy named Rob. Rob had not gone to college. He went straight from high school to working at Foot Locker. And he was an assistant manager, but he had worked his way up to be an assistant manager. So we were about the same age. He's probably about 22 at that time. But he had been working at Foot Locker for many years in order to get moved up to assistant manager. I came in as an assistant manager just because I had a college degree. What the hell was the difference between my knowledge and Rob's knowledge when it came to selling fucking sneakers? Nothing. But this is the scam of the system. So anyway, I'm bringing all that up just to tell you this is one way that I use my college degree. So I got to correct myself. The point being, though, let's compare that to somebody who graduates from college and they get a degree and then they go leverage that degree for their actual career, and it actually matters. So let's say a college professor. They needed to graduate near the top of their class and get good grades and good recommendations from their college professors so they can go get a job being a college professor. So basically they get out of the system and then they go perpetuate the system by teaching it to the next wave of people. This is the system. Again, and it's not negative. There are college professors, maybe some of you are listening to me right now. Shout out to the college professors. I ain't knocking your job. I'm knocking the system that you work in. I'm not knocking you personally, but if you take it personal, that's your fucking problem. This is what I'm explaining to you is that someone's my same age, they got out of college with a degree that they went and used to get a job, and now they got not only K through 12, so you start kindergarten at age 5, right? You graduate from college at age 22, that's 17 years. Then you go get a job using your degree, add another 20 on to that. So for 37 years, you've been using your educational experience to make you who you are. Is that person much more emotionally engaged in defending their degree than someone like myself would be? Of course they would be. That's why people like that are probably ain't even listening at this point because I've trashed this stuff enough that they get where I'm going and they don't want to hear it. So they don't like, those people don't like listening to me. Those are the people who block me on social media. And let's continue. Point number 5. Today's topic, once again, is why college is a scam. Number 5, credential inflation. Now, this is in quotation marks. Credential inflation. What does that mean? What happened, and again, read the book, The Debt Trap, that I told you about. Companies that hire college graduates, they started requiring more advanced degrees for licenses and jobs. Just like Foot Locker. When I worked at Foot Locker, again, they hired me on the manager track just because I had a college degree. Again, what the hell does me having a college degree got to do with being a fucking Foot Locker manager and selling sneakers? Nothing. What did I use when I got my job at Foot Locker that had anything to do with having gone to college? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I just got to start at a little bit higher level just because I had a college degree. It makes no sense whatsoever, but that's what they did. And this is what I mean. This is a small example, but there are bigger examples. Companies started requiring anyone who came to work for them to have an advanced degree, even though the company still trained you as if you didn't learn anything in college. So, give you an example. Now, I don't know if I had this in my notes, but I'll tell you here. My sister, I had her on my show about 2017. I believe it was episode number 714 of the show. I interviewed my sister, Latoya Baldwin Clark. And I have invited her since then to be on the show, but she, let's just say she declined the invitation. We'll leave it at that. But I remember on that episode, she was talking about her first job out of college. She graduated from college like 2 years before me. And her first job was as an investment banker in New York. And I asked her, did you need to have a degree in order to get the job? She said, yes. And I said, well then, since you need to have a degree to get the job, did they expect you to come to the job with some skills already in place because you had a degree? She said, no, they trained all of us as if we knew absolutely nothing. And I didn't dig into that then because I couldn't have explained it the way I am now, and I wouldn't have did it while interviewing her because the interview was more about her than me talking. But just think about that. She had to have a degree to get the job, but then when she got the job, they trained her as if she knew absolutely nothing. So what's the point of the degree? There is no point. Again, the only thing the degree proves is that you know how to sit down, shut up, and follow the rules, which ain't a negative thing. Now, there are some people out there who don't know how to sit down, shut up, and follow the rules. They end up getting fired or they can't get a job in the first place. So that is worth something. But is it worth as much as we put the emphasis on the degrees? No, it's not. Now, again, since companies are now requiring more advanced degrees to even give you a job, now people are forced to go to college to get the degree just so they can get the job. And these companies and the government and the loan banks are all working together. This is the system that I'm referring to. And this system is scamming us. That's what it's doing. So you see what I mean here? A company just starts. So the government says we're going to give loans to people to go to college. College says we're going to raise the price because the government's giving out loans. Companies say, well, we're going to force everybody to have to get a degree in order to come work for us. So they're all working together. It's one big system working together. It's like a wheel. It's like a flywheel. Once they get it going, they got you running on it like a hamster. Now, again, this was in connection with cost increases. When companies started requiring degrees, it's the same time the colleges start charging more money. So they're just getting you deeper into the trap and squeezing even more on you. This is also why degree holders sometimes put themselves above others who don't have the degree because, well, shit, you gave your whole life to get that degree. And now you got to spend the rest of your life paying for it. Of course, you're going to emphasize your degree. What you going to do? Say my degree wasn't worth it while you're still paying back $150,000 in student loans? Would you say that? Because then you feel like a fucking idiot looking in the mirror. Again, this is why these people don't like listening to me. It's just like, so this is the validation of an irreversible decision. And human beings do this all the time. Again, it's called confirmation bias or the sunk cost fallacy. Once you've already committed to doing something and you can't undo it, you will just defend what you did. Even if deep in your heart, you know it was a bad idea, you may defend it anyway, just so you don't feel stupid and pointing out that you did something dumb that you can't undo. Just like people taking the COVID jab. There are people listening to this who took the COVID jab and you have come to realize taking the COVID jab was a bad idea, but because you can't undo taking the COVID jab, you might as well defend the fact that you took the jab. Again, this is human nature. All right, it doesn't make you a bad person, it just makes you human. And I've touched on this a bunch in previous points, and I have made this mistake in the past as well. I remember once I went to this place down here in South Florida, in Miami, called Now's Berry Farm, and they have a strawberry patch where you can actually pick your own strawberries. We go there almost every year, and they also have a bakery where they sell baked goods. And I remember I went there once to get some baked goods, and there was a really long line outside, and I figured this line can't take that long. Maybe it'll take 30, 45 minutes. I'll stand in line. Ended up standing in line for 4 hours. Now, why would I stand in line for 4 hours to buy some baked goods? Because of confirmation bias. Because after an hour standing in line, I said, well, I've been standing here an hour. I might as well not not cut my losses at an hour. Let me just keep standing. At the 2 hours, man, I've been standing here 2 hours. At the 3 hours, man, I've been standing here 3 hours. So I might as well stay in line. Ended up standing there 4 hours. See, that's the dumb shit that human beings do. Now, see, I can point that out because, again, it was 4 hours out of one day of my life. That still matters a lot, but it's not like 4 years of my life and $200,000 in loans. So it's a little bit different, different categories, if you get what I'm saying. The scale is a little bit different. But notice how the connection between all of these things happen, going back to the colleges, the loans, and the banks. I mean, the companies, the colleges, and the banks. How it made everybody money. They required more degrees. Students had to spend more time in school, meaning they had to take out more loans, because now companies start requiring advanced degrees. So an advanced degree is anything past the 4-year degree. Now you got to spend more money to go to more school and get more time and be in more debt just so you can get that job. And now that you got the job, you're going to keep the job and do whatever the job says. Why? Because you just gave up 6 years of your life to get the job. And $250,000 in loans just to get that job. Well, of course you're not going to leave that industry. Look how much of my life I gave to getting into this industry. I'm not quitting. You understand this? There are people working in careers right now that they want to leave, but because of this confirmation theory that I'm explaining to you here, that because I put so much into this, there's no way I can just walk away from this. They'll just stay in it just to validate their own decisions, their own past decisions. Again, this is called the sunk cost fallacy. Those of you who want to get out of something, but you can't bring yourself to do so because you would feel dumb for all that you invested in getting there in the first place. I get it. I just told you about my 4-hour experience waiting in line to get some damn sticky buns. Yeah, again, it's on a smaller scale what I went through. I can laugh at it, but we're talking 4 years, 6 years of your life and a couple $100,000 and your actual job. I understand why you can't laugh at it. I understand. So these loans cost you more money. Now with that college loan bill, now you got to start paying it because now you got the job. Your student has no choice but to go get a job that correlates with the degree, or at least hope you can get a job that correlates with the degree, because some of you tried, but you couldn't even get it. Now you got to keep the job so you have enough money to barely pay back the loans that you owe. And the loans keep accumulating interest over time. You're not even paying enough of them to pay down the debt, the interest that is accruing. And you're like, yo, I'm underwater with this loan, and the amount that I'm paying is less than the amount that it keeps getting bigger. What the hell am I supposed to do with it? I'm gonna be in debt for the rest of my life. This is what's happening to people. So the student ends up paying back a lot more than you actually borrow. Again, this is a beautiful system. It's great for the banks. You want to make money, get into the loan industry with anything that people are emotionally connected to, like housing and colleges. There's a lot of money to be made, folks. I'm not joking. That's not a tongue in cheek. That's serious. I wish I gotten in on the ground floor as one of these banks. I wish. I don't even have to be the bank. This is gonna be a loan officer. Just pay me commission, boss. Give me commission. I will get some loans. One thing I will tell you, that I wouldn't be recording this show right now had I done that. Had I become a bank, all right, you wouldn't be listening to the Work on Your Game show. It wouldn't exist. All right, nothing is coincidental or accidental, ladies and gentlemen. This is all a system. Companies that hire college graduates were working in cahoots with the banks that were giving these same college students money to get the credentials. This is a beautiful hustle. Beautiful. Point number 6. Today's topic, once again, is why college is a scam. Number 6, degrees meant a lot between 1970 and 2000. Nowadays, not so much. If you graduated with a college degree between the years of 1970 and the year 2000, having a college degree meant a lot. It meant that you really were putting yourself in a different echelon than people who did not have one. You really were. Now, people still have these similar ideas about a college degree and the value of it. And people who grew up and got degrees are still alive, and they're still having kids and raising families, and they're still sharing this belief. Some of them are teaching your kids at college right now while you're listening to me. They are teaching your kid in a lecture hall right now some bullshit that I've just uncovered for you over the last 2 episodes of this show. And they're still out there. And even if you got your degree between the years of 1970 and 2000, even if you did not, your parents got one then, or they felt like they missed out by not getting one. Like my mom, for example, smack dab in the middle of this range, did not get a degree at that time because she had kids and she had to put off getting her degree so that her kids could get raised, or she chose to. She didn't have to, she chose to. And shout out to my mom for that. But she grew up with this idea that she could have done better had she had a degree. Therefore, she wanted to make sure her kids got degrees so that we could do the better that she hadn't done, at least up to that point. So she indoctrinated myself and my sister with, y'all got to go to college and get a degree. And guess what? Myself and my sister went to college and we got degrees. This is not just some random idea that I came up with. So people who didn't get a degree during that time period, even if they wanted to, they want to make sure their kids got it. And that's you all who are listening to me right now. You're the kid that your parents want to make sure you could do what they didn't do. So they raised you to believe that you needed a degree, and then you went and got one. And even if your parents didn't think that, if you were alive during this time frame, or you have been under the influence of anyone who was alive during this 1970 to 2000 time block, it was probably taught to you by somebody, whether your relatives, your parents, your teachers at school, your friends, or simply watching TV or the internet. It told you college graduates make more money than non-college graduates. Didn't they tell you that? All of you have heard that before, right? And in some ways it's true, some ways it's not. Again, they're not telling you the whole story. They're taking facts out of context. The context is how much does it cost to make that more money? I.e., how much loans did I have to take out in order to get that job that pays me more money than the person who didn't go to college? Versus how much did they have to take out to get their job? And they're in the black, I'm in the red. So are you telling me the whole story? The answer is hell no, they're not telling you the whole story. That's why you got to be careful, folks. Discernment, your ability to see through to what's really going on as opposed to what's being told to you. So it was ingrained in you and me to go get a degree. Even as much as I logically trash the collegiate system, I can't sit here and trash it that much because shit, I went through it. I'm a product of the collegiate system. Okay, I never even thought of the possibility of not going to college. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted to go to college because I wanted to play basketball and I wasn't Kobe Bryant or LeBron James, i.e. I wasn't good enough to go straight from high school to playing in the NBA. I needed 4 years of seasoning to get better at basketball. That was one main reason why I would have went to college even if it was completely up to me. And at the same time, what would I have done after high school? All right, let's say I wasn't into sports. What would I have done after high school? Mind you, this is 2004, so it's not like I can get on YouTube and become a YouTuber. That wasn't a thing. Being a YouTuber was not a thing until like 2013, maybe. YouTube was out, but being a YouTuber did not become a thing until maybe 2011, 12-ish. Really like 13, 14 was the tipping point when everybody started creating content. And mind you, I've been creating content since 05, so I know when it changed. So that would have been 10 years, I wouldn't have been that. Couldn't have did that. What else was I going to do? Making money on the internet was not some normal thing in 2005, 6, 8, 10. Those weren't normal things. I started doing it. I started making money online in 2009. So I graduated college in 2004. What would I have done if it wasn't for trying to play sports? If I didn't go to college. So that means it would have been the year 2000. So between the year 2000 and when the internet, making money on the internet became a thing around 2009, what would I have done? Good question, right? I don't even know. So I can see the indoctrination. I can point out the indoctrination while still telling you that I was a victim of it. All right, that's the point that I'm making here. Let's recap today's class. This is part 2 of our mini series here. College is a scam. Number 4, people have bad ideas of what a degree means because they are not all created equal. Just having one does not necessarily put you in a better position. And you ask around, you'll find plenty of people who will admit this to you. Number 5, the credential inflation. Companies started requiring more advanced degrees at the same time the colleges started charging more for an advanced degree. At the same time, the banks started giving out more loans for an advanced degree. Do you think that was all coincidental? Hell no, it wasn't coincidental. Again, just because you disagree with something that somebody does, do not assume that they're stupid. These people are very smart and they know exactly what they're doing. Number 6, degrees meant a lot between 1970 and 2000. These days, they do not mean as much as they used to, but we are still being indoctrinated by people who grew up in that era and they believe that degrees meant a lot because that's what they grew up believing. And you're not going to teach an old dog new tricks. You're not going to change people's minds. So some of you just got to be wary of from whom you are getting your information and why they believe what they believe. It's not who they are and what they say, but why do they believe it? When you understand that, then it'll help you better kind of shield yourself against the indoctrination that other people have been taught that they don't even know any better, but to teach it back to you. All that said, tomorrow we're going to get into part 3 of this mini series. Again, workonyourgameuniversity.com. You want someone who is no nonsense, no fluff, straight to the point, is going to help you get your shit together in all aspects with me as your coach. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all